Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who do not know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law. Through this channel I'll be providing some stock analysis and a quick update on the $1 Million Challenge. If anybody's not aware of this, this is a journey of an investment of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategy called compound return investing. So the objective is try to get 201 trades, each with an average return of 3.5%. It's not 201 consecutive trades. We do take into account losses. So for further details about how to join us for less than $9 a month, information is available in the description below. In the previous video, we looked at MMTLP and the focus was on the relationship between FINRA and the SEC and also looking at potential conflicts of interest. In today's video, we're going to be looking at GNS with some positive news there, and we're also going to be looking at MMTLP, and the focus on today's video is going to be looking at some important changes just announced from Gary Gensler with regard to the SEC. We're also going to be looking at an update from just a meeting held today with Erin Arvedlund, so stay tuned for that. She's the journalist involved in the documentary Madoff, so there was some interesting angles in terms of the conversation today as well, so I will release further details about that shortly. And I'm also going to be sharing with you again an update in terms of the your personal MMTLP story. So let's first of all start by having a quick look at what's happening in the markets. So we are seeing a red day today, so there is a little bit of a sell-off. So headline here, US equities drag lower as the big tech swoons. So market wrap, the Fed is expected to downshift its policy tightening, and traders are also awaiting the US jobs report, which is due this week. But if we have a look at the key dates here in terms of the markets, Wednesday is the big one certainly for me, and that is the date when the FOMC rate decision is going to be announced. And I think that with regard to monetary policy, inflation and interest rates, that is going to have a huge impact on the market, and positive news there on Wednesday should certainly trigger a strong rally. So let's start by having a look at an update from the SEC. So this update is actually from Gary Gensler himself. For anybody who's just not aware of this, Gary is the 33rd chair of the SEC, and he states here on his profile, committed to investor protection, fair markets and capital formation. So that is something that certainly is in dispute, but let's have a look at his post here earlier today, and what he's stated here is some proposed changes. These proposed changes were also discussed in our meeting today with Erin Arvedlund, so stay tuned for an update on that. So let's first of all have a look at what he stated. So he said here, the 4 equity market rules that we proposed a few weeks ago are out for public comment. So we're going to have a look at the public comment section for that as well. So here he's now shared some more information about the proposed rules. So first of all, he's proposing something called our best X proposal. So that one is the rule would help ensure brokers have policies and procedures placed to uphold one of their most important obligations, and that is to seek best execution when trading securities, whether equities, fixed income, options, crypto tokens or other securities. So that is obviously, if they implement that, that is certainly going to be in the benefit of, for the benefit of the retail investor. If you are going to get the best execution, that means you're going to get the best price. So that is certainly needed, and something that is long awaited for. So following on, he's also identified the other proposals here. First of all, he's saying enhancing order competition proposal. So he's saying here this is going to require a segment of the equity market to be exposed to competition in fair and open auctions. It would promote competition for the orders of individual investors to the benefit of these investors and our capital markets as a whole. So this one, if we interpret this a little bit more widely, he's looking at fair competition and open auctions. So the implication here is getting rid of naked shorting, getting rid of synthetics, because both of those are not fair. So if he's saying it was going to promote competition and orders of individual investors I certainly hope that this is going to include removal of naked shorting, removal and accounting of synthetics, and not having them in any trading, because that is not fair, and that is something that drives down the price of a stock. It potentially destroys a company, and ultimately also leads to shorts not closing their positions and then not paying tax. So third one here, minimum price increments, access fee caps, round lots and odd lots proposals. So for MMTLP, we have seen some extortion price requests there, and fees charged for moving people's shares to AST. So he's proposing that that is going to be now a minimum. So a little bit too late for some of us, but he's saying here the minimum price increments, access fee caps, round lots and odd lots would again enhance competition and level the playing field. So we don't have a level playing field. He's certainly acknowledging that, because he's stating that the changes are required, benefiting retail and institutional investors alike. So certainly hope the focus there is on retail investors, but I don't think institutional investors, certainly from the hedge fund side of point of view, they certainly don't need as much protection as the retail do. And finally, amendments regarding other execution order proposed. This rule would enhance disclosure requirements for order execution quality. So disclosure requirements, so hopefully this means there is no more secrecy, there is no more things going on behind the scenes. Again, he's followed up here, which I think is very important. It would improve transparency. Right now we have zero transparency on execution quality, and facilitates investors' ability to compare brokers, thereby enhancing competition in our market. So obviously if he's saying there's transparency, again, with naked shortings, we don't have transparency. If with synthetic shares, we don't have transparency. And finally, what Gary is saying here is submit comments to any one of our equity market structures rules at. So I've shared the link here. So if you go to the SEC or Gary's Twitter handle, you'll get the link to this. So I certainly suggest everybody go ahead, and there is a direct email that you can use without going through the form, and it says rule-comments@sec.gov, and that is something that we can certainly send our information to in terms of concerns about naked shorting, the concerns about FINRA, concerns about obviously synthetic shares, and obviously concerns about market manipulation, and obviously the other thing is shorts not closing their positions and not being forced to close their positions. So in response to Gary's tweet, what I'd now like to do is give a shout out here to Richard Buddy, who's added in here some additional requests for Gary, and that is, why does spoofing exist in our markets? Again, that's an unethical tactic used by some of the market makers to drive down the price, create false rumors, etc. Why are there endless fail to delivers? Why aren't retail orders going to lit exchanges? How is the PFOF still legal? Why are threshold lists not enforced? Why is SSR not enforced? Why do you allow short exempts to be abused? So I certainly don't think Richard's list goes far enough. So I've added on some here in addition to what Richard had said. Great reply, but can we also add on no more naked shorting, stop synthetic shares, hedge funds and shorts are legally enforced to close their positions in all cases with infinite risk. That needs to be enforced. It is not being enforced yet, so it means there is not a free and fair, transparent market. That is what we need. It is critical. FINRA are more accountable and become a government-funded organisation. So in my previous video, I did a deep dive on FINRA, and I also discovered in terms of their accounting and their financial statements, it states here that nearly all their funding comes from broker-dealers. So stop the broker-dealer funding of FINRA, because this is a conflict of interest. FINRA, although it's a non-profit organisation, there is a significant amount of employees in FINRA with salaries of in excess of $1 million, and this needs to be made much more accountable, much more transparent without a conflict of interest. So quick update on the meeting with Erin Arvedlund. So what I stated here yesterday is just a reminder for anybody who doesn't know, Erin is someone who was a journalist. She was instrumental in bringing down Madoff. Today's meeting was the second follow-up meeting. Again, very, very productive. So I will share further details about that very shortly. But let's move on to Chris Holmes. So shout out to him. And that is continuing with the theme of FINRA. He's called FINRA, talked to a very nice lady called Denise, and asked her if she could confirm MMTLP has not been deleted. So this is certainly there. The U3 halt we can see there has not been deleted. It was not listed as such on the website. She very nicely said thank you, disconnected the call. So I think this is now happening, but in the conversation today we are aware that in December conversations were had with people, and there were exchanges with FINRA, and unfortunately the people who were engaging in these conversations are no longer talking. Let's now have a look at ticker symbol GNS. So shout out here to Roger Hamilton, and this is a post that he shared earlier today, and he stated with regard to GNS, the spin-off entrepreneur resort has resort, beach club and co-working cafe models with licenses purchased globally and locations on the links below. After approval, all shareholders will own the GNS shares they have today and equal percentage of ERL. And we're looking at entrepreneurresorts.com. So details there in the tweet. And the other thing that Roger has followed on with is that this is just one of multiple actions we are planning. We are not planning a one-off bullet. We are planning on ongoing machine guns. So Roger is an excellent CEO. He is there strongly fighting the hedge funds and the shorts and the attacks on his company, and so far certainly seems to be with some success. So let's have a look at the chart for GNS today. On a high, it was at one point up close to $7.27. There has been a little bit of a sell-off. So this prior to this was trading just below the $5 mark, and a good opportunity to get buy in at 5 and potentially sell at 7. But again, extremely volatile, but right now at time of editing up close to 37%. So congratulations to everybody who has been in this and also been taking profits. So let's now continue with our series of sharing some of your personal MMTLP stories. So story number 1 here is from an investor who we can see here purchased with Fidelity in the 401 retirement account and through TD Ameritrade in the personal cash account, a total of 96,625 shares of MMTLP. And all of his money, 100% of it, is up in the air, frozen, zero, no value in terms of how he sees it right now. So crooked CEOs with hedge funds continue to do their nefarious acts, like attacking small companies that have great growth potential. So certainly that is the case in many stocks. Retail investor needs for a level playing field to be fair, and for all who participate will follow and abide by the said rules. So that we know that is not currently happening. So the investor here is basically of the opinion that there should be a mandatory minimum amount of 5 or 10 years of high security prison incarceration for the first offence. Let's get the fox out of the hen house. So I 100% agree with this proposal, and if this were to happen, it would eliminate all the nefarious acts in the market. It would certainly make it fair, and we would get no more destruction of small companies emerging and potentially curing diseases such as cancer. So let's move on. Story number 2. This person is a US Army service member. He bought Torchlight with the merger. He's bought more MMTLP after that. He sees it as a lifetime opportunity. He's looking to get financially stable and getting close to retirement. Goal was to invest most of it in MMAT. Still got 5k shares in MMTLP, and he's staying here hurting people like myself who have put their life down for this great country. And he can be reached for further details, not expressing himself well in English, which is not his first language. And then finally, this is a person here who stated, this has been really hard on myself, my wife, and sadly will impact my children in the future. Having hundreds of thousands of dollars vanish just makes me sick with no real explanation. The U3 is disgusting. So powerful, strong language and powerful, strong, heartbreaking stories. I'd finally like to finish off by giving a quick shout out to our weekly watch list. These are some of the stocks that we called out. We know the market conditions today are very, very tough and difficult, but some of the stocks amongst others that we called out here prior to trading on the Monday: FIGT, at time of editing that was up 4.4%. IVDA, we also called out 13.4% up. FOXO also up just in excess of 2.1%. GNS, we know that is something we've been watching for a while. Again today up in excess of 38%, and at one time was also up higher. We also looked at ATA, that was up approximately 7%. LCID, again that was running on rumour and potentially could go either way, but not all calls are successful. And if you'd like to get the next weekly watch list, you can certainly join us in our Discord for less than $9 a month. Details are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.